In this video, we are going to look at the importance of parentheses in math. The question here is, what is the difference between negative 2 to the fourth power and negative 2 to the fourth power? So you can see that when you read them, it doesn't look like there's any difference. They sound the same. But when you look at them, you can clearly see that they are different. So let me show you how important these parentheses are that are around the first example. So negative 2 to the fourth power means that I have 4 negative 2's. So I'm going to write that negative 2 out 4 times. Because that negative is enclosed in the parentheses, it is being repeated 4 times. So when I multiply this out, negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. And then I can multiply this negative 2 times negative 2 to get another 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So this result is 16. But in this other example, the power of 4 is only going to the 2 because the negative isn't wrapped in parentheses. So what this example means is we have one negative that sits in front, and then we have 4 2's. So then when I multiply, 2 times 2 is 4, the other 2 times 2 is 4, that's 16, but that negative comes down and sits in front. So this result is negative 16. So it's all about the parentheses here. If the parentheses is enclosed, if the negative is enclosed in the parentheses, it's going to get the power. But if the negative is not enclosed in parentheses, it doesn't get the power. So I don't have 4 negatives on the second example because the negative is not in the parentheses. And this is really important when you're working with even powers. Because let's look at the next example. What is the difference between negative 2 to the third power and negative 2 to the third power? Again, when you read them, they sound exactly the same, but when you look at them, you can see that they are 2 different kinds of problems. So the first example means I have 3 negative 2's. So when I write it out 3 times, the negative's included in getting the power because it's in parentheses. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, times negative 2 is negative 8. So this result is negative 8. Now in the next example, we have negative 2 to the third power again, but the negative isn't getting the power because only the 2 gets to be repeated 3 times. So I'm going to bring down the negative, and then I'm going to write out the 2 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. And then when I do my multiplication, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, but I have to bring down the negative. So this is negative 8. So the results are the same. Well, what made the results the same has to do with the power. Whenever you have an odd power, it's not going to make a difference, but it will make a difference with an even power. So that's one thing to remember, is that even powers, you really have to pay attention to whether your negative is inside parentheses. If it is, then you get the power. It gets to be raised to that power. But if it's not in parentheses, then that negative just sits in front and does not get the power. So pay very close attention to parentheses when you're working with math problems.